It had been one hell of a year, and to even think that it was as short as a year made his whole body ache. It seemed like it was a decade ago that he ran away. School was hard, being the way that he was, and his parents tried, but until he was born, his family's relations with the lower planes seemed like something folks only spoke about at reunions, or when there was too much wine going around. They couldn't truly see how antagonistic the world was to him, and their claims of life getting better if he only stuck it out seemed hollow and forced. So he ran. If life was going to be shitty, well, it was going to be shitty on his terms. It was exciting at first, like a scary sort of exciting, but exciting nonetheless. He fell in with some kids like him, and they all did their best to survive. And then some guy showed up. He made them an offer. It'd be more comfortable than what they had, and they knew what he wanted. Well, at least they thought they knew what he wanted. One by one, the group started getting smaller and smaller, and his leash started getting shorter and shorter. Soon they was practically prisoners. Until they came. Even where he was, he had heard about Tessa and her personal crusade to do what the keepers and the cops wouldn't. And when they burst in that night, it was like a fever dream. It wasn't just some group of do-gooders doing what they wanted out of a sense of justice. There were people like him, and not just figuratively either. While Tessa and some Goliath and a bird guy all fought the goons, it was a dragonborn and, of all things, a tiefling lady that helped him and the other kids out. And when he and some of the other folks didn't want to go back home out of fear or shame, they listened. Some gnome they knew helped them all get somewhere better, somewhere safe. Sometimes that fear of what could have been still grasps at his chest, but he knows from what he's heard that what they did for him, well, they're doing for others too. Okay, Danielle, so what has Seer been doing during the 3-month jump?
A lot.
Okay.
So mostly he starts off cleaning up his parents' farm because, they had to leave in the middle of the night and leave everything behind. And so he spends the first month or so probably getting rid of his parents' livestock and kind of winterizing the house.
So you had spoken about previously, do you sell the house?
I don't think that I do.
Okay.
Because I think there's a sentimental tie there that I can't break.
Okay.
But I definitely think that after I have winterized it and kind of, let the given away all the animals and you know, let the land go, that I mean, I don't go there anymore.
Okay. Maybe pick up mail, shit like that, right?
No, I think I tell all of the neighbors that my parents are dead.
Oh, fuck. Okay, yeah, sweet. Okay. That seems dramatic. All right. So one of the things that happens there. So like, you spend like what, about a month doing this? You said okay. So like about a week or so after Candle Nights, they have like sort of so we had established that there was a carnival that you guys never went to.
Yep.
I made a lovely carnival you guys ignored. But also out in the country, like they would probably also have some kind of celebration. It's probably a whole this the carnival in the city is probably just an evolution of that. Theirs is probably more of like a county fair. Less of like a full blown carnival sort of thing. It's like the weird pagan festivals they have out in the country in England, where they wear horse skulls and bullshit.
They don't need to wear them. Some of them have.
Yeah, they have horse heads. But one of the things they do is they have like sort of a May Queen, May King sort of thing, but it's like the Candle Nights Queen, Candle Nights King sort of thing. So about a week after the festival, one of your neighbors kind of like comes up and like knocks on the door because they know you're there. When you come down there, it's like a turtle person, and she's like, basically she explains to you that the girl who was the Candle Nights Queen, whose name is Takako, she was kidnapped by what they think is like a Medusa that lives in the woods. It's kind of like, it's weird because you've heard this same story. There's like a Medusa. It's basically a weird combination of like the monster in the woods story and like the witch who lives in the woods, but they just combined them all into like one fucking story, and it turned into a Medusa who lives in like a shack in the woods.
Yeah.
Which sounds like you're like, all right, fine. They're like, she's been kidnapped, and you're like, you're like, that's not true. That's not a real thing. And they're like, somebody broke into their house, and you're like, oh wait. Okay, well, maybe I'll go look into that. Like, maybe she has been kidnapped, but probably not by a Medusa monster. And so you go to the house, and it looks like the window had been forced open. It wasn't broken, though. Like, it wasn't, like, shattered in or anything like that. It's not like the front door got kicked in, 'cause she, like, lived with her parents or whatever. And so you do some tracking, which you're moderately good at because you are a hawk person. But you're not necessarily a ranger.
Right.
So, like, you, like, track, like, but it's not like a terribly poor hidden path. You can see where, like, somebody, like, came up to the window and, like, 2 sets of footprints walking away. You're like, oh, okay, cool. And, like, so you follow it into the woods. Probably takes you, like, 6 hours to get there. And then, lo and fucking behold, there's, like, some shitty moss-covered shack in the woods. So you can hear crying coming from it, so you get like on point, right? You're ready to like, well, great, I've got a fist fight of fucking Medusa today, as if I didn't have any more problems to deal with. So you get in and you basically like you kick in the door of the shack, where like you're like, I gotta take them by surprise. It's like because I gotta make sure they don't look at me and turn me to stone. And you find the girl who is crying in the middle of the bedroom, and you're like, basically. What she explains to you is that she was not kidnapped by Medusa, that her and the Medusa have been dating for a long time, and her parents didn't agree with it, and she just snuck out. But somebody had come in, and basically like a group of people had broken into the shack, like taken them by surprise in the middle of the night, and like bagged and drugged the Medusa lady away. And they're like, can you help me? Like, you're like, oh fuck, now this whole this has gotten so much worse. And so you spend probably like the rest of the night and then the next day trying to figure out where they went. But like, again, these people were like legitimately not trying to be tracked. And they pretty much lose your trail pretty easily. So when you come back to the city, what do you do?
Like the city, like the outskirts, or like the city proper?
Like when you come back from your self-imposed exile.
So, I imagine I get a call from Tessa one day. because, you know, my friends haven't really seen me since candle nights.
They're like, yo, you cool?
Yeah. And, like, I'd been ignoring their calls for a little while, probably.
Hey, we haven't seen you since we burned that dude's body in your yard.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Really good. Thanks. Click. But I think eventually after this business with, like, the kidnapping and kind of, like, going on a short adventure to go and track down the bad guys and all that sort of thing, it kind of, like, it reminds me why I started doing heroic shit in the first place. And so the next time that Tessa calls, I answer.
Okay.
And she's heading up some sort of vigilante organization because she's Tessa Blackmore.
Right.
And that's how she rolls.
Yeah. The bluntest instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I basically just be like, yeah, I'm down for that. And so, I basically finish packing up my parents' house, close it, lock it down, and then I go into the city and start living out of the warehouse.
Okay. Cool. Like, are you and Tessa roommates? Is that what we determined? You guys are all living in the office of a warehouse?
Yes.
Okay.
She's not allowed to have sex with Ian.
Okay, good. We've got ground rules. So while you guys are doing that, basically one day while Tessa, I probably should have, oh well, I assume Tessa does odd jobs or whatever during the day, whatever. So one day while Tessa's out, also, like, what do you do now to make money?
I imagine a lot of odd jobs. I'd probably go and start working, like, down near the docks because people are less likely to ask questions over there.
Okay, fair enough.
And just, like, fucking moving boxes.
Yeah.
For whatever organization needs.
Yeah, you're just like a dude in a hoodie.
Yeah.
Moves boxes. It's what you do.
Yeah.
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 So one day, like, while Tessa's out doing whatever, and you're just, like, in the thing, like, there's a knock at the office door. And it is, we are the river and it is the sea. Run to it or run dry, but all will run. And they're like, Seer, I heard that you were back in town and I wanted to speak with you.
Yeah, sure, River, come in.
Okay,
How did you find the warehouse?
Oh, Odo told me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please come in.
Yeah. I asked Odo, yeah. Fair. Maybe I should have called first. So they sit down and they explain to you that they've been seeing what, like, it's not hard to see what Tess has been doing. And there's been a sort of there's not really a split, but she is there are basically two minds inside of the Sands party. One that wants to be somewhat more direct, and then one that wants to is playing a much longer game. And River is of the more direct mind of it. And they're like, we're not saying we want you to... So what I'm offering is, I need very capable people to help me do this. And from everything that I've seen, and then also talking with Odo with what happened with you guys, because pro tip, River's the one who fronted all of the money to make sure that your parents are well taken care of, because somebody with money has to be in this organization. And they've got an ample supply of it. And so they're like, so I helped Odo with that because I felt like that was, like, literally the least I could do since you guys, like, saved me from having my head popped like a fucking grape. But like, Odo's a good person. They're good at what they do, but what they do is slow, and I don't feel like being slow anymore. And so I'm not saying stop doing the stuff you're doing with Tess. By all means, continue doing that. But if you're ever more interested in something more clandestine and loud, we would very much love to have you on our team.
Is that a multiple person you?
Yes.
Or just me?
Yeah. No. I've got other people I've got other people rostered up. Capable people. The Sands don't generally have not capable folks.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'll definitely, I'll think about that.
Okay.
I'll probably have to talk to Tessa about it a little bit.
Well, I'm doing this not necessarily. This is not like an invite to be part of the Sands. This is not an operation that it has the. These are not operations that have the blessing from the entire organization. Mm-hmm. They're just somewhat more personal errands. Because I think you feel like taking a pound of flesh. So.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying stop doing what you're doing. By all means, keep doing it. Just maybe sometimes we just make a little noise.
Yeah, I think I'd be down for that.
Okay, cool. And so they hand you a key. They're like I might we'll give you more than enough lead up time if we do something. Like we're not going to half-ass into any of this. Or if you need, get a hold of me, obviously. So here's
Absolutely.
that. So, and so yeah, that's pretty much. Unless you need is there anything else Seer does, or is that pretty much where we're?
No, I think that's pretty much.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at with Seer. Okay, Shannon, so tell me what Tess has been doing in the 3-month gap.
Tessa has been starting a revolution.
Okay. I'm going to need slightly more details than that.
Okay. Tessa, once she broke up with the Keepers in that rather spectacular fashion,
right?
She has
the most extra job quitting, except for that scene from that thing where that one movie with the weed, Dave Chappelle.
I'm gonna need more details than that.
Where he's like, "Fuck you," and then "fuck you." That scene, I don't know. Anyways, moving on. I'm tired.
So, since she broke up with the Keepers, she has decided that the only way to achieve true justice and true protection for the citizenry of Luume is to start an uprising and completely get rid of the guilds and the Keepers. That those people are standing in the way of the average citizen's ability to be successful and be safe. So overthrow them, and we're going to start a revolution, man.
Okay, and how is she accomplishing that?
Well, she enlisted the aid of Cora for some public relations, and Seer for some backroom fisticuffs.
Right.
So there's an element of protests and demonstrations and speeches. There's also some posters, some anti-posters.
Okay.
But there's also vigilante stuff going on in the background.
Are Cora and Seer publicly part of this, or are they keeping their idents on the DL?
I think that they're still keeping their identities on the DL.
Okay.
So
that's what I thought. I just couldn't remember. So
Tessa's the only person who's actually out there with her actual face, because she's always out there with her actual face. So that's what she do.
Okay. So a thing that's happened. So we'll kind of come to a couple of other things, but one of the things that's sort of like one of the first things that happened, so about 4 days after Candle Nights, right? Before it is gone from the news cycle, there's another. So they had put an announcement in the paper that you were a wanted criminal.
We do get a newspaper article. That's one of the things that Cora was helping me with.
Yeah, we'll get that. You haven't had the interview yet.
Okay.
That hasn't happened in fiction yet. There's a cat approaching my very, very detailed layout miniatures. Okay, it's gone now.
Somebody get Snickers.
Please, thank you.
Snickers.
Just pick her up.
Yeah, just pick her up. She's gonna yell at you when you do.
Basically 3-4 days after Candle Nights, there is a thing before they had announced that you were AWOL and basically wanted, but they've come out and sort of publicly announced, because it was like a military thing, so they don't necessarily have to say what they're charging you with.
Right.
But they come out and they publicly announce, like in the paper, front page, like Tessa Blackmore, wanted criminal, the father commander. That you were like kind of dealing with. He was speaking about that. And basically he says that in the article, and you're not even, like, you don't even read it, like, I kind of, like, comes in and, like, throws a paper, like, very angrily down on the kitchen table.
Oh, she comes to the warehouse, because that's where I'm living.
Yeah, I guess that's where you're at. Yeah, you come to the warehouse. It's still very bare, like, it's very bare bones in the little warehouse office right now. There's literally just, like, a bed, and there's nothing else in that weird little office.
Right.
And she, like, throws the paper, like, onto the bed, like, on top of you, and, like, look at this goddamn bullshit. And on the, like, on the paper, basically, it's saying that, you had, like, you're being charged with, insubordination.
Massive, ridiculous,
crazy insubordination. But also, basically, like, breaking into a top secret facility, stealing artifacts, and they're basically saying that you have the way that he kind of does, like, this sort of interview with somebody about it, and he's like, we didn't want to. You can sort of hear it in your head because you've heard his voice so often. He's like, we didn't want to necessarily accuse her outright. We were giving her the benefit of the doubt of putting her on house arrest. We felt like we were being fairly lenient at the time, but it seems that our suspicions that she is working, that Tessa Blackmore has fallen in with some sort of dark entity. We're not at liberty to say what was taken from the facility, but it is an artifact that is related to an outside entity, like an outside force from, like, another plane of existence that had tried to make an incursion into the world. Where unfortunately we're afraid that possibly Tess has been corrupted or co-opted by this entity. Basically, he's saying that you've fallen in, like, with a devil lord. Okay, well, that's an easy fix. All we have to do is go in front of any priest anywhere and have them cast Zone of Truth, and then, you know, detect evil, all the crap. Yeah, it's easy. I mean, it's possible if you weren't a one criminal. I mean, there are worse things. There's worse things, yeah. Like unfortunately, like, this is also this very public thing has cut you off from most of your previous ties in the Keepers, except for Kravitz, who obviously knows what the fuck was up, right? But hasn't really made a move because he's not in a position to. He is. You still have a relationship with Kravitz, but you don't come by the church, like, at least during the day anymore. I have to come in through the back door at midnight or whatever. He doesn't necessarily want to break ties with Keepers because he needs those resources, and also doesn't want to, like, he's just a preacher. You're like, right. He ain't a sort of dude who's built for going on the run. So, and also he feels he is, more of a pillar in the community sort of fella. So that's one sort of thing that happens. So as the 3 months rolls on, it's really hard. Like, initially, it's very hard for you to make traction, because most everybody is fairly comfortable with their positions. There is a lot of murmur about, like, there is about 2 months after Candle Night, so that would put us in February, because it's going to be March when we pick up. It's going to be the tail end of March when we pick up. Are you looking for your cell phone? Yeah. Okay. So when we pick up, or about 2 months in, about February, there's, like, a lot of buzz about, like, basically some kind of new organization making, like, a big play when it comes to basically the supply of technology, like a whole new level of tech coming in. And the real big thing takeaway from that is not that there's, like, a whole lot of new tech on the field, because it dies out pretty quickly at the like big fair, like the big manufacturing like tech fair that they have. But the big thing is that like the new there's like a few new like must-have gadgets that were announced. One of them is like a new model of car. It's like an economy class car, which is dumb, but there wasn't one before. This is essentially it's coming out of Elder Tower, and it is it's essentially a Model T, which doesn't sound terribly interesting unless you're a person who can't afford a car, and then like this very cheap economic car is very important. Glittering Oath had announced they had announced basically kind of like an upgrade to the key system that you guys are already using.
Right.
Dust to Dust introduced some esoteric fucking ahead of its time hi-fi system that no one will buy, and then the tech will get co-opted by all the other guilds because that's what they do. And Keyrin Collective didn't have really a big showing. Like they didn't have like they had some basically they're like new models of all the shit that we already have, but cheaper.
Okay.
But they didn't make any splashy announcement like everybody else did.
Because they are otherwise occupied.
Yeah, occupado. Well, I mean, there's not Wyatt's not the only person who works at Keyrin Collective. It's just the only one that you guys have interacted with and not killed. But anyways, the kind of the key to that is that you guys don't have a lot of traction until the beginning of March, when there are massive layoffs throughout most of the production facilities in the kind of like the working class part of town that you guys operate in. Pretty much almost every guild has massive layoffs except for the Keyrin Collective, who ramp up production, but not even remote. Like they ramp up, they open new facilities, but not enough to really offset the mass. So there's mass unemployment, and when people don't have jobs, they get real mad
And bored.
So you guys have been picking up more and more steam over the last month or so.
Cool.
Also, at some point during that time, Cora had dropped out and come back in, but we'll get to that when we get to her. So the interesting thing is that so smash cut to one of your rallies. You've given some sort of rousing speech. Somebody's like, "Cheese, it's the cops," because obviously you don't want to get caught by the cops. And because I'm assuming you're doing like impromptu rallies where you don't announce them ahead of time,
right?
So
or it's super secret, like code,
sort of stuff. So somebody's like, "Cheese, it's the cops," you guys run away. You are moving through an alley.
Am I running?
Yeah, you're running.
Okay.
You're because you didn't have time to summon a motorcycle. Also, it's an alley, and you really like it's a.
Well,
like
no. I don't
alley.
summon the motorcycle. It sticks around.
Yeah,
because I have find vehicle. It's like it's like having a steed.
Okay. So it just comes to you.
Yes.
Okay. But anyways, you couldn't get. It's like a 10-foot wide alley. There's no way you were going to be able to properly maneuver inside of it. You'd rather just not die in a car wreck. Seems like an Magnus Inn. So you're running along and you can hear feet behind you. You glance back over your shoulder, expecting to see like a bunch of cops, but it's not cops. It's like MPs from the keepers who are way scarier than cops because they're like clerics and paladins. They're not just assholes with swords.
I'm an asshole with a sword.
Yeah. So you, so there's two of them directly behind you. You cut through the alleyways. Unfortunately, one of the issues that happen, or the thing that happens, is you take a wrong turn because you don't really know this part of the city. You take a wrong turn, come to a dead end. So there's two keepers at the end of the alleyway who are pushing in on you. You've got your sword out. You're like, well, fuck, I'm gonna have to fucking fight these guys or whatever. And then, and like basically as like all three of you square up, like they draw their weapons, you draw your weapons. You guys are standing there squaring off, sizing each other up. They both get hit by a fucking van.
Is it the van?
No, it's a van.
Oh.
And then there's somebody you don't recognize in the driver's seat, and the side door slams open, and like a young woman who's like, I swear to God, it's probably no more than, like, they are they're like a half elf person. She's like maybe no more than 17. Has definitely got your haircut. Is like in armor and a sword and shit. It's like, get in the fucking van.
I get in the fucking van.
Yeah. So you guys speed off. This person is just like hitting, like the person in the driver's seat is older just by a little bit. Maybe they're 19, 20. They're a dwarven person. They're just like focused on driving through this very small alleyway with a very large van. Mm-hmm. They're obliterating fucking trash cans as they're going.
Right.
Like they're driving at speeds you shouldn't be driving in an alleyway in.
Right.
And so it's like just you and this person. They're like, "Are you okay? Do they get you or anything?"
No. Who are you?
Hi. I'm Ina, and they like shake your hand and everything. And you notice like when they shake your hand, you can like notice like underneath like what is essentially like a hoodie. Mm-hmm. Like you can see sort of like it's like a zip up hoodie, and you can see underneath there's like leather armor or something like that. They've got like a couple of knives at their side. Like they came to fucking rumble. And they're like, "Oh, I'm Ina. That's Mike up in the thing," and Mike's like, "Hey, but Mike's not engaging. He's got stuff to do." And he and she's like, "Sorry, we saw you get chased off. We saw you got chased off, and so we sort of followed you. And I guess it's. I mean, you probably could have taken them, I guess, but."
Well, thanks.
"Oh, you're welcome." And she's like full starry-eyed. Here's the thing. You got like you got gushed upon often, but like your demographic was like 8-10-year-old girls who like needed an idol to look up to.
Uh-huh.
You weren't cool. You know what I mean? You were like you were cool to 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds because like you were this like really imposing authority figure.
Uh-huh.
That's not cool to teenagers.
Right.
But she's like enamored by you, and also has your like looks kind of like a tiny you.
Oh God. I've got fans.
Yeah.
I've got fans.
And so as you guys kind of drive along, like finally Mike hits the street and is off. They ask you where to go. Where do you want them to drop you off at?
Somewhere near-ish to the warehouse, but not the warehouse.
Okay. So like in the general whatever. So you throw them some directions, they take you there.
Uh-huh.
Basically, what she sort of explains is like she like her and her friends were like super inspired by what you did, like what you guys are doing. Essentially, like not relying on the cops. Like they're kind of like citizen policing their neighborhood in the sense that like they're also not just like, you know, beating up purse snatchers and shit like that, but they're doing like de-escalation of situations, like basically the things the cops should be doing, but all the cops are fucking shitty in this town because it's a cyberpunk dystopian future thing.
Right.
So
well, it certainly is inspiring to see young people taking up the cause.
Oh, awesome. Like Mike's like, yeah. I don't know, I don't want to be Mike. But
if I wanted to get in touch with you, how could I do it?
I don't have I've got the only key I've got with my parents. And she's like, if you want to, you can like leave a message for us here, and she gives you like an address.
Okay.
It's like I don't know how quickly we could respond if you needed something, but we'd be more than happy to help.
Well, thanks. And you certainly have helped me today. Mm-hmm. Keep up the resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so so they drop you off, and the van sort of speeds off, and so that's pretty much, and the rest of it's just like, and basically that gets us up to where we are now.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, Andrew. So, what has Oren been doing in the meantime? I painted little tattoos on his head.
That you did.
So yeah.
So it's been what, a 3-month gap?
Yeah, it's
right?
3 months.
So I mean, I think for the most part, he's been running his bar and spending his off time trying to work out research with Awakening on the connections, particularly with of course that sigil, and in a more like broad sense, like the connectivity between arcane and divine magic.
Okay, awesome. One of the things that happens is about 1 month into the whole dealio. You get a letter in the mail from a guy named Rory Tamarin. He's from like a neighboring city of Amara. You know this city. It's probably like the second largest city in the general area, and kind of like the up and coming. Like they're basically like Luume is like the biggest, bestest city in the land. Like, but they're aiming for the crown. You know what I mean?
Size wise, are we talking about like Luume's in New York versus?
This place is Chicago.
Okay, and what was it called again?
Amara.
Amara.
Yep.
Okay.
And basically, what Rory explains is that he is an old friend of Broderick's, and Broderick had sent him some of the research that you had initially brought to Broderick when you found the sigil and everything, because like Broderick, he is a wizard.
And it says Rory, you said?
Yeah, Rory Tamarin.
Rory Cameron.
Tamarin.
Tamarin.
Like the spice.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
Sorry. So he says, like, yeah, he's a wizard. He was friends with Broderick. Broderick basically had sent him some of the research, like the initial stuff that you had brought to him.
Right.
Because
when he was trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, when he was still trying to figure.
Yanked.
Yeah, basically before he got his brain eaten.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, I work for like I work for this like company. It's very interesting what you've sent me. And basically he's like, I have these theories. I'm also like, I would have responded quicker, but then I got news that Broderick died, and so I got more. He's like, basically he explains like, I ignored the beginning because I was like, oh, it's whatever. I've got my own shit to do. But then Broderick died, and then I got sentimental, and then I started looking at it. It was very interesting, and he sends you back. Basically, it's like a partial diagram of what you've already figured out, which means that he's like, it's not new information for you, but it's impressive that he's on the same wavelength.
Well, it's always good to get confirmation from someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
That's on.
And he's behind you, but you're also like have more resources than he does in the form of like a sentient ancient AI.
Yeah, basically.
So, but he explains he works for a company called Moto Specialized Research, and they, he's like he liked working for them initially, but he's sort of disaffected now because he just feels like they've lost their way. But this is a nice side project. While he's basically kind of like he's like, I don't know. He's sorry, I didn't mean to like it's like he's having a conversation with you, and about halfway through the letter he's like, sorry, I didn't mean to get like weird personal in there. I know we've just met. Sorry. And basically he's like, if you want to like, I can't move to Luume or anything, but if you want to continue corresponding, feel free to respond. And obviously you have his address because there was a letter and everything. So,
okay,
what do you want to do? Like,
so I think,
it's your choice there.
It's always good to. I mean, so Oren's background is not as academic, right? So it's kind of a novel.
because this is like definitely like a college trained guy.
Right. This is because Oren originally went to like cleric to the cleric college, and then he kind of molded his way into the wizardry thing during the guild time, during his guild time. And then he's like a weirdly self-taught wizard. Yeah. And so it's kind of it's a novelty and also kind of like a little bit of an honor to like have someone recognize, and that's also just something with the Goliaths culture. They like being recognized. It's an honorable thing.
It always feels good for somebody to be like, yeah, that thing you're doing is actually interesting.
Yeah, and to have it confirm like what I'm coming up with. So I would probably respond to him and shoot him. Probably not everything. Like, I don't want to shoot him back all the information I've got just because like I don't have it.
You don't know this fucking guy.
Well, I don't know this guy. I don't know everything, and I don't know everything that's going. Like, I haven't figured it out yet. But like, he seems pretty legit. And have I heard of this company before?
You've heard, like, not really, but they're also a company from
Amara.
Yeah, they're not a company. Like,
does Amara have a guild system too, or
yeah, everyone kind of like everyone
Elrond?
Sort of bases their shit off of what Luume did because
Right.
Luume was the mold.
Right, but like
it's not the same. It's from what you can tell, it's not the same. Like the thing is, like, Luume became its own city state because the guilds were so powerful.
Right.
They declared independence from a kingdom that literally surrounds them,
Right.
and also that kingdom's too scared to attack them.
Right.
Like, that's how powerful the guilds in Luume are.
So are the guild systems or the kind of model guild systems in other cities also primarily headed by elves, or is elves a kind of a Luume thing?
Actually, elves only head up 2 of the guilds in Luume.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Elder Tower and Dust to Dust, and the elven leader of Dust to Dust used to also be one of the leaders of Elder Tower till they had a falling out.
Oh, okay.
So only the first guild.
I thought they were involved with everybody.
The
Okay.
first one was, and then Glittering Oath was second, and it's started primarily by like humans and basically other folk
Okay.
because like they were like, hey, fuck these elves.
Okay.
And then Keyring Collective is a whole. They're their
Okay.
own thing. They're
Okay.
like a whole different thing. They're a startup by comparison to the
Right.
like they're like a traditional Silicon Valley startup.
Wasn't Wyatt Kieran?
Yeah,
But he doesn't head the organization.
He's a board. They
And he's also
actually
not an elf,
they're
he's
run by
Wyatt.
a board.
Right.
They don't have a head.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have a board of directors.
Yeah, so I'm going to, I'll write him back. I'll give him a little bit more of like, I've already I figured some of this stuff out. I've got a little bit more of this connection here and there or something, but like just like a little bit more than where he's at. And just tell him like I'd be like happy to like shoot back and forth and work this out.
Yeah,
'Cause it'll help me keep track of like if he keeps coming back, it'll help me keep track of like where he's at too. So it's good for me to keep some of that information in my pocket at the moment. And I of course don't mention like awakening at all.
Oh yeah. I figured
Yeah.
So like it's pretty fruitful. You guys share a lot of ideas. It helps really kind of like get your research going at a good clip because now you have 2 colleagues to like deal with. It's a little bit slower with him though. It looks like he's initially the letters like it's a 3 or 4 day turnaround mail wise, and then eventually you start noticing like way more stamps on the letters, and they're getting there. Like you guys are basically like getting shit back and forth pretty quickly.
Right.
There's still about best case scenario, you've got a 24-hour delay between contacting Rory and getting back, but you have that person now.
Okay.
There's your contact replacement for
There
Broderick.
we go. I at some point, like, after like 3 or 4 letters, I probably would want to like talk with Cora or someone who could maybe like verify this person to be sure.
You look him up. There's no like you can look up. You can find this name in some registries in Luume in the same neighborhood that Broderick grew up in.
Okay.
Obviously, like there's no city things. About like if him and Broderick were actually friends.
Right.
But, like, there's enough tertiary information
that like I don't get super crazy skeptical.
Yep.
Okay. Just making sure.
And so that goes on. It helps you guys go on a little clip. I imagine. Like, the bar does good. We probably need to do some rolls to determine how the bar does.
We can.
We just go... the bar's been doing great. Particularly, you got a good write-up about, like, this restaurant review personality.
I know where this is going.
Yeah. He had, like, a whole live demonstration in your bar and everything. He's, like, a very flamboyant guy.
Got maybe white hair, wears a headband.
Wears a headband.
On his wrists
wears fucking Hawaiian bowling shirts. Loud.
Yeah, real loud.
Makes weird faces when he eats the food, like he's having the best orgasm of his whole life. Just restaurant stuff.
Like, guys, we serve sandwiches and beer.
Yeah. So that's going really well for you. In particularly because you've got it gets so busy that you have to hire a whole nother person.
I think that
that also frees you up to like you have two people who work the bar now. It's not
Right.
just you and Michael.
Yeah, I think actually, Michael or is it Malcolm?
That was me. Maybe it's Malcolm.
I think I have written down Malcolm.
Okay.
I think that I think that when I hired the second person, like, so I've been like delving into this research, and I kind of need the bar to like run itself and, and everything. I would at some point like to teach. Try to teach Malcolm some of like the cantrips involved in making this brew actually happen from stones.
Okay.
Because I think I've decided that like this whole like brew from stones thing, like it only really works because I'm a wizard.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because like
magical rock beer.
Well, I mean, because it's not just like you throw rocks into the brew and it gives it flavor. Like, Like suppose like I actually pull some things out of the pull some essences or whatever out of the stone and that kind of thing. So, but it's all like at this point, it's like cantrip level, you know?
Yeah. It's like it's like some borderline alchemy, like very low level magic. Because obviously, like no one's getting any special effect from this beer.
So I think I teach Malcolm some of this stuff, and like I try to bring him in on like the like brew process so that he can kind of like start just like determining like making stuff up on his own, maybe running the bar a little bit more. On his
basically
own.
He gets promoted to manager. Over this new guy.
Right. Yeah. Basically like that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. He picks it up pretty good. Like for all of his weird slackerness, he like looking things. He's really good at restaurant shit, and he's like very excited about this, so he picks it up. He picks it up pretty good, and he does a good job. This also allows you, it frees up the time, so you can dedicate more time to your research and also your fucking weird vigilante friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so one night, the bar's going on downstairs. I assume you just continue living above the bar.
I don't see why not.
Yeah. Why have the extra expense of buying a house?
Right.
Also the bar has to do well because we have to figure out how you guys are affording a whole separate warehouse. But whatever.
I'll make some rolls later. It makes some money.
Two of your people are basically unemployed now.
Look, I can help pay for the warehouse. I'm not feeding everybody, but
that's fair. So one night, like the din of the bar is going on downstairs. You're upstairs. You're just like 1,000 books everywhere, diagrams, formulas, all like paper and everything. Like you don't have the glove on. It's just kind of sitting on the thing, and it's like. It's been pretty quiet. Like you've just been kind of like locked in stuff, and so you and Awakening haven't been talking a whole lot. And you get the vibe that she is being pensive because she doesn't really project anymore. Right. There's not a lot of reason because she doesn't talk. Like you're literally on her. Like she's
most
like
of the time
attached to you. Yeah. And so like, but you get the feeling that she's being super pensive, and then and this is probably just a couple of weeks before where we pick up, right?
Right. Okay.
And she's like, so I want to talk to you about something. At one point earlier, you had asked me if I was the only one of me. Like I was the only thing like me. Mm-hmm. And I said, yes. And that is technically true.
Of course, it's only technically true.
Well, there was another one of me. It wasn't one of me. They were different. Mm-hmm. They were, I guess, as close as a thing like me can have to a sibling. We were made at the same time.
Okay.
Let me put it that way. That's probably an easier way to explain it. And I don't know. Things happened. He was in sort of the shuffle of like our creation and everything like that. It wasn't at our creation. It was years later, but 200-300 years doesn't feel like a whole lot of time to me. But he was destroyed. And I don't know. I just felt like I should probably, I don't know. I just was thinking about it. I've been thinking about it a whole lot recently just because he and I used to do this thing, like this level of research, and it was just making me think about him. And she like seems like legitimately like bummed. So as bummed as like a AI sort of thing can be.
So is that? So did you only have like the one sibling?
Yeah, there was only ever the two of us. I don't know if there's enough resources in I don't know if there were enough resources at the time to make more than two of us.
I forget when she finally finally broke down and told me most of everything. Did she actually tell me who created her?
Yes.
Or was she still obstinate about that?
Yeah, she was created by an elf.
Okay.
And their name was what was their name? I remember coming up. Huh?
Yeah.
It's the roomie name.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to remember that section of the poem. I had a name.
I do remember.
They are not.
Okay.
That elf is not important. I will
remember.
above board tell you that elf is not important to anything.
Right. No, I was trying.
But
to
they did tell you.
I was trying to remember if she was deity created or
no, she was made by.
I don't want to say mortal created because elves are technically immortal.
The elves are weird. Yeah.
But they're not deities.
They are not deities.
There's mortals, immortals, and deities.
Yeah.
I guess.
But no, they were they were magically constructed by an elf
Right.
like a couple thousand years ago.
Right. So
And they've changed hands a couple of times, and so like
Right.
Awakening doesn't know if that elf is alive or what their name is now,
Right.
or where the hell they are.
right. So
Like to that elf, Awakening was just another Awakening and her brother were just another project.
right.
So
So your brother, you guys, so at some point like was just arbitrarily destroyed. Like
No,
were
there
you-
was-
were you split at that point?
yes, we were stolen from our owners at the time, and then in the shuffle of that whole thing,
Just got destroyed.
yeah.
Like similar to how like you had to take care of whatever was in that glove.
I don't. Yeah, sort
You
of.
have-
I
you have an
guess
idea about
that's
that?
probably a solid. That would probably be a solid descriptor.
Okay.
Like, because he is the vessel that he was in wasn't blown apart because he was a crystal like me.
Right.
Well, was like yeah.
Right.
But that wasn't shattered. It just went dark,
Right.
and I wasn't able to talk to him anymore, and he never.
Right.
know.
Yeah, that sounds really terrible.
But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like telling you that because I was
Right.
thinking about it, and we've been. No, I'm trying to make an effort to be more upfront about
Look,
things.
I really appreciate, and I appreciate that, and like as long as you like are honest about this stuff, I greatly value like the help you're giving me with like trying to figure this puzzle out, you know, and like I am enjoying immensely this process.
I mean, yeah.
When we started out doing this, you know, it was you were pretty shady, and and on top
That's
of that,
fair. You know what?
You've seen the rest of the rest of the crazy game. Like
That's true. I really wish you.
We've been dealing with so many shady shit
That's listen. I understand. That's fair. I own up to that.
But like I can appreciate like you like telling me this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's also good to know that they're like supposedly your brother was like. Are you confident he was destroyed or it was destroyed?
He.
Okay.
I'm as confident as I'm as confident as I'm.
Like is this a thing like you were able to witness
not like-
in some way or like because I mean
It's not like he and I got our vessels were taken out at the same time, and then he went dark, and then it's not like we got set we weren't broken up. We were sold as a set pair.
So the only evidence we have that he's gone is that he went dark.
Yeah, but there was nothing else for him to go to. There
Okay.
was nothing in there.
Okay.
I would know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to see because I mean
that seems like a fair question. Yeah.
You know, and it's part because hey, if there was a chance, maybe that was a thing we could look into, but on top of that,
also I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the sentiment. I really do. I legitimately do. But this was also like 1,500 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair. No, fair. But like at the same time, if there is another one of you like floating around, I mean, one, that's a pretty big thing to know. And two, I mean, it's gotta suck being basically the only one of you.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
Like the Goliath culture, we're very competitive folk. But we also we have the camaraderie in our like competitiveness and our honor and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard to really fathom like not having that, not having like there's no community really. And so like if there was a chance, then you never know.
And she seemed like, you can kind of sense that like she's like legitimately touched by that. She's like, you know what? Thanks a bunch. Like thank you. That made me feel like legitimately made me feel a lot better.
Right.
So that's pretty much where we're at with the word.
Cool.
So. All right, so what has Cora been up to in the last 3 months?
So at the beginning of it all, first we stopped around the holidays, so she had her holidays. Okay. But I think pretty early into it, she started the side vigilante group with Seer and Tessa.
Okay,
pretty early in.
And holiday-wise, I know we had talked about it. Did Cora take Odo to see her parents?
Yes. Okay. Odo went to my parents. So Cora's family consists of her 2 dads and her original dad, the one that helped make her exist. He was originally with the lady folk, and it was a tiefling, and that lady tiefling was like killed in a hate crime, and there are no hard feelings in the new family, and both of the dads are super nice, awesome dads. So, cool. And probably very excited to meet my partner, whom I'm sure I've told them about.
Right. Cool. And so Cora has like a solid, nice relationship with the Rents.
Yes, even like non-biological dad. They're just 2 very happy dads who want their daughter to do good things.
That's good. Okay, good. I imagine it was probably awkward for Odo because they're not.
Oh yeah,
they're really awkward with people.
I fucking hope it was.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys started. You helped Tessa and Seer start the vigilante group. So Tessa has this sort of pinned as like half you guys are Batman and half you guys are like Occupy Wall Street. So what is Cora's role in that whole dealio?
Cora is PR, as well as I imagine she's some minor support in the, like, we have missions, right? Like, we did missions and things. Like, was it similar to the vigilante group before, where like, oh, my purse has been stolen, help.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's y'all's deal.
So.
Yeah.
But, and also, like, a big part of it was the promotion of the idea that the guilds are evil. So promoting that we are correct, and I acted as a sort of PR person for that, since I know people and know how to circulate information, I guess.
Okay. Awesome. And also sort of dealing with a thing going into this that Cora has been dealing with, and that we had sort of touched on in the last, in the game before, though we had talked about it like mostly off camera. The expanding nature of Cora's like tiefling, like her more demonic heritage, or not demonic, devilish heritage. I always get devils and demons mixed up. And
yeah,
shit that they're different things in D&D.
It's your world. It can be whatever.
I guess so. Yeah. So a thing that happens to Cora while she's doing this is, so in one of your all's like more clandestine missions, you guys were hunting down this like for the lack of a better word, this guy who does like human trafficking. Well, person trafficking, not necessarily humans. Whatever. Yeah, D&D's weird. But so kind of explicitly, like in Luume, for one, they're real big on money, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have a prohibition on sex work. Not to mention, I just don't feel good about like stigmatizing sex workers in general. But that also doesn't mean that there aren't like shitty people who do shitty things, especially rich people.
Yeah,
they're really shitty.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's who this person particularly catered to, and one of his major sort of like, I guess his clients had a taste for the exotic, and seeing as tieflings are maybe one of the few races that we have in our world who experience like weird social stigmas.
Yeah, one of the few.
Yeah, it would make sense that tieflings in general are a more at-risk population in the world of Luume.
Yeah.
And so this guy dealt primarily in them. So you, Tess, and Seer are hunting this guy down. You've tracked down a bunch of leads. You guys get to a facility that he owns. You're tracking him through the facility, beating up guards, looking pretty badass in general. You spot the guy, and you guys kind of go after them. Cora rips off like a couple of Eldritch blasts, especially because she's got the range much more than the other
240 feet now.
240 feet of fucking you up, especially compared to the other two who, like, I guess sometimes Seer throws darts that I forget he has.
Yes.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
I guess Tessa occasionally has a crossbow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it happens occasionally. Just appears out of hammer space. But so you're trying to rip off Eldritch blasts and get this guy before he gets out of sight. The other two are sort of handling the up close and personal fighting. So you slip through and out and after this guy. And every shot you're firing, you're missing him. He's ducking around corners. He's pretty agile and good from running from people. It's like he has a criminal past or something like that. And so every time you're ripping off one of these Eldritch blasts, that kind of like blackish green sickly energy that is kind of creeping into your Eldritch blast is getting more and more. And then finally you corner him in a room, and you sort of know, Cora knows that she did this thing because the thing happened. She's the only person in the room. She doesn't 100% remember the entire situation except for just like a loud voice in the back of her head. And then when she is kind of pulled out of the moment by kind of looking over and seeing like some kids, maybe teenagers, maybe 14, 16-ish, like tiefling kids, just petrified of her. And when she looks down, she is just beating this guy, just beating the holy fuck out of this guy with her bare hands, which is not...
Yeah, which is like a noteworthy point, is that that's not normal for her. Like, she started this very much, like, I still to this point, even after all of this, have the thing that says that I value like finding a different solution to a conflict.
So violence is kind of like Cora's last resort, and especially violence at this level is Cora's no resort. And all the whole time there's this pressure and this voice just egging her on in the back of her head. So how does she react to that situation?
What part of the situation are we at? Just the end of it?
The end of it. The end of the situation, yeah.
So initially horrified, I think she pretty much just leaves the situation as it is, like doesn't really address anyone else in the room, just kind of leaves. And then immediately, like at this point, her and Odo haven't moved in together. So she basically goes to her apartment, packs a bag, and then goes to stay with her dad's for a few weeks.
Okay.
And like she tells no one where she's gone, and like just sort of goes out to, because they live out in the country. She wants to basically just get out of the city because, you know, tieflings don't really live in the city. I'm weird.
Right.
So I use she and I interchangeably, I notice, when just referring to Cora. So just figure it out.
I got it. I'm following.
All the viewers can just, viewers, you're viewing this because you're weird, can figure it out. So she goes out to her dad's in the country and just stays with them for a few weeks. She doesn't tell them why she came. And like, she just tells him like, oh, I wanted to see you again. The holidays like got me nostalgic and all that.
Yeah.
And but she doesn't ignore Odo. So if Odo was to call, she wouldn't like cancel the call, whatever that looks like on a key.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Does not answer.
Yeah, she would answer.
What would she say to Odo?
She would tell them that she was at her dad's and was safe, but she wouldn't say why. I imagine that's a talk they would have later when she got home.
Okay.
Because she wants to detox.
Okay. So what does she do, I guess, while she's at her dad's?
So, like, I haven't pictured their home life very much, but for some reason, like, in my head, it's like The Borrowers, but big size.
Okay.
Like it's cute and quaint, and, like, she helps around the house doing things, and maybe she runs some errands so her dads don't have to, because there's...
So her dads are basically big demonic hobbits.
They're adorable, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So she may run some errands so they don't
I guess
have
actually
to.
neither one of them actually has to be a tiefling. So, but they're
both tieflings.
Okay, they're
yeah.
both tieflings.
I specifically said that my dad remarried another tiefling.
Okay, sick.
So yeah, but she like goes into town so they don't have to because they're still kind of weary about it. And I imagine they have a closer town than the city. Like countries have those kind of things.
Yeah, exactly.
We live in the country.
Yeah.
So she just generally helps out with the house and their property. Just tries to be useful to them because she feels guilty for being there too. Like, I just showed up at your house unannounced. Thanks for taking me in.
Cashes in a bunch of vacation days or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I imagine she's earned some good cred with Benedict.
That's fair. Okay. So Cora gets home and basically before, like, when Cora gets to her apartment, Odo is there.
Fair.
Because they're maybe like a spy and they can keep tabs on anyone if they want to.
Right.
So they knew you were coming back. And they're like just standing outside of the apartment. And they're like...
They have a key.
They do, yeah. They're not going to be in your apartment when you're not there. That's weird.
Okay.
Or like for weeks at a time. So...
Fair.
Also, they don't want to be like sitting all ominously in your apartment, like
with the lights off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that seemed uncouth, but like so they're there. They're just in like, and they're in the least extra outfit you've ever seen them wear. It's just shirt and jeans, and they've got a very serious like they've got Odo the like spy master of the sands face on, not like Odo the happy gnome that like has like fun conversations with you on the reg. Like
sad.
They're like, so are we gonna fucking talk about this?
What have you heard?
Like they open the door, lead you in. What I heard is nothing.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, because I'm in the dark. I tried to get a hold of Tessa and Seer and the whole rest of the gang to figure out what was going on. They were roughly in the same situation that I was. I'm glad that you were safe, but it would have been nice if you told me that you were going and I didn't have to like freak out for a whole day trying to figure out where the hell you were.
Are you gonna tell me you've never done something that you feel like you need to run away from?
I've done a lot of things I probably needed to run away from, but I wasn't in like a relationship at the time.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Look, there was some trouble on one of our last missions, and something happened. Do you remember when I took all the training courses, trying to get a better like? I feel like the training happened pretty soon after like that weird color change that one time, like.
Yeah, it did. That's what we were...
The montage.
Yeah, that's how we justified it.
Yeah, so, like, you remember the big training bout I went on to try and, like, understand this new reality to me a couple months ago,
yes,
right?
I am not connecting the dots on how your self-defense classes made you leave town.
So, those self-defense classes were a result of a thing I saw happening, and I thought they would fix it. And it doesn't seem that they did.
So what is the thing? Because if anyone's gonna be able to like help you through like, oh, a mission went south, I've done a lot of shit. I could probably help you out with this. We need to talk about it, not run away.
But I don't beat people to death. That's not what I do.
I don't think you like from what Tessa and Seer told me, you didn't beat a guy to death. You just beat up some shitbag who probably deserved it.
But it came from a different place. It wasn't me. There was a voice in the back of my head. The changes came back.
Right. So as a person who's done a lot of things, that voice in the back of your head is this thing called anger, and being mad at stuff, which we can work through, but what doesn't involve leaving town and leaving me hanging. That's what I'm mad about here. If something's up with you, we can get it fixed. I want to help you. I thought we were in this thing together.
We are.
Well, I didn't feel very in it.
I didn't keep anything. You called, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
They called, but like, you were like, I'm safe. I don't want to talk about it. Like, that's not.
Oh, man, who did I see running around like a dream dungeon?
That was I thought we had reached a place where we're talking about things.
And I'm talking now. I just needed a second. And I was okay. And I'm not going to run away again. I just had to come to terms with the fact that all of those kids were so scared of me.
That's fair. I guess I didn't mean to come into this so hot. I was just angry, sort of hurt that you I felt like I got cut out of the whole thing. And I thought we had gotten to a place where that wasn't going to happen.
No.
But sometimes this is not great advice, I guess. I'm not good at giving advice, but sometimes when you're trying to help people, you can move way further than you need to, and doing something to help people that scares them sometimes just comes with the territory.
I don't think it was just anger.
I mean,
and I want to know what it was.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure.
You know what?
Like,
that's fair. I was being a bit flippant.
I wanted to make sure it was gone before I came back to anyone's life. Like before I came back to you, to my friends. Like, who am I gonna hurt next?
I mean, that's fair. But if you'd been, you could have told me those things over the phone or over the key.
Look. Over the key. Look, my dads couldn't know.
If you've never been a teenager, just step outside. Like
doing like the Boy Scouts honor thing. Like,
I hid shit from my parents all the time. You're also a grown ass adult. You can just leave the house.
But I like them. And
I mean, that's fair. They seem very nice.
They like you. Please don't be mad.
I'm not mad at. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I was upset and worried and hurt.
We're past this point, and I made a stupid mistake by not including you.
Thank you. But if you think there's a bigger issue at play here,
I do.
Which is 100% fair. We can maybe get a hold of somebody, find someone to do. I mean, honestly, it's not necessarily my forte, but maybe we talk to that priest guy. It's letting Seshmir have all the weird cult meetings in his basement.
You're not talking about Broderick, are you?
No, I'm talking about Kravitz.
Okay, Broderick is dead.
Broderick's dead. Kravitz is still alive, yeah.
Okay, so which one did you kill?
Cult meetings in his basement. It's really nice.
Yeah. You don't know that there are cult meetings?
Listen, Odo would definitely call that a cult.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone thinks it's a cult with Seshmir.
Okay, good.
I guess in the people who are in the church.
Great.
But yeah. I mean, I guess it's technically a church. What's the difference between a church and a cult? Anyways, I digress. But yeah, like maybe we can talk to him. I don't know if he can actually do something, but he probably knows somebody better than me. I'm good at getting information out. I'm not really good at like that stuff.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
vague hand motion stuff.
Hand motions. They make kind of like a weird, awkward hand motion. Like a big, like, I don't know. Yeah.
So are we good?
We're goodish.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. I was just upset. So, and so I guess you guys make up. And
yeah, I think like Cora would go in for like a hug to see if they would like pull away or anything.
They're not like super pissed. They were worried. And I guess also at some point we've established that you guys move in together.
Yeah, sometime over the 3 months, I think, towards the end of the 3 months when we're back to being better.
Yeah.
We move in.
Like, more chill.
Yeah. So we move into Odo's apartment.
Okay.
That's the decision, is that Cora...
Odo's apartment.
Because Cora basically is a minimalist and, like, had, like, a room with, like... You know how Andrew's old apartment was, where there was, like, a dog bed in a room with nothing else?
Let us describe our friend's apartment to you, audience.
He won't hear it. He doesn't listen to this. Andrew, what the hell?
Yeah.
So,
Andrew, get better at decorating.
But he fixed it when Danielle moved in and gave him a bunch of furniture.
So yeah, Odo also doesn't have a lot of stuff. Their house looks almost like it's ready to rent constantly. Like there's very little stuff in there. It's almost the same layout as yours. It's like it's 2 bedrooms, but one is like sort of an office. But like where yours is, like was an office maybe at some point and then just became like a catch-all room. Theirs is just like there's an extra bed in there and literally nothing the hell else. Their fridge is generally barely stocked.
It's my actual apartment.
Yeah, except it's like they don't use their apartment. It looks like they literally just show up and sleep.
Oh. I mean, that's basically
really
my
nice
actual apartment in real life.
They do have a very nice bed, though.
Oh, well, good.
So yeah, you guys move in, and I guess that pretty much gets us to the end of the 3 months.
Yeah, Cora's anonymous friend Brian breaks her bed because he's frustrated with putting it back together for the 3rd time, and he gets real pissed at it. It's great.
I mean, Cora has a garbage particle board bed from Walmart.
It was on sale.
Burned.
Was on sale.
It doesn't matter if it's on sale if it's broken. It was on sale a long time ago. Now it's broken.
No, now it's held together with about like 6 more L brackets than originally.
Exactly. Cora needs to get a new bed.
Oh, well, next time she moves.
Maybe. Okay. Anyways, so good.
That gets us to the thing?
That gets us to the thing.
Okay.
Okay, Richard. So, what has Seshmir been doing during the jump?
He's pretty much focused on 2 things right now. One is his day-to-day business of making money, solving cases, but he's spending a little extra time building up his contacts, especially his 2 primary ones. Being nice, hanging out with him, just to hang out with him and not, hey, I need shit.
Right. Because you guys called in a lot of favors in rapid succession there.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's time to,
Okay. One of the things that happens while you're doing that, one of the cases you get in the jump is, what was their name? Even in the darkness, there is a burning light that fills us and pushes us ever forward. They come back to you, and they're like, basically what they're like, listen, at one of our R&D facilities, we have been... Like, we're losing raw materials. Like, they're basically just disappearing off the manifest. We know somebody's pinching them, but we don't know who. And we also want to just bring in an outside person to figure this out, because we can't trust our normal chain of command to do this, because they could possibly be involved in it.
Right.
It's pretty straightforward. You do some interviews, you kind of figure it out. You sort of narrow it down to there's a new guy who's working. He's just kind of he's not one of the actual R&D scientists. He's an older dude. He's got black hair with streaks of gray in it. And he's everybody just kind of like his name's Robert. He doesn't hang out with anybody. He's like 100% the shadiest looking guy who's not doing a very good job at hiding the fact that he's probably stealing stuff. Mm-hmm. And so you go to sort of interview him because you want to be sure before you like ruin a guy, like get a guy fired,
right,
and possibly arrested, right? And so you go to interview him, make an appointment with him and everything, because you did this with everybody, so it doesn't seem terribly suspicious. And he just, he's like really nervous in the interview. It's weird too because he's got like one of those weird cough mask things on because he's like, I'm sick, I'm sorry, I don't want to get anyone infected or whatever, right? He's saying that he's got like bronchitis or something like that. And basically immediately after, you notice immediately after the interview, he just goes like out to the facility, out to the parking lot, and he's just gone. He's just gone. He never shows back up to work. He's just gone forever.
Okay.
So that's a thing that happens while you're gone.
Nice. All right.
Mm-hmm. And specifically, he wasn't stealing like finished products. He was just stealing like raw materials for their stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, what else were you doing?
The other thing I'm working on is building up the chat group, the first circle for the Cult of the Nameless Goddess.
Okay. So that actually is going pretty well.
Okay.
You contact a couple of people who you got from that one dude.
Right.
Though you can never seem to get back into contact with that one guy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
I can't find that mysterious tall stranger again.
I know, right? So things kind of ramp up fairly quickly. So you go from like 3 people to like 6 people to like 15 people to like 20 people by the end of this. And one of the folks who emerges from the group, who sort of becomes like your right hand in the church, even though I'm sure Tessa calls it a cult when you're not around.
Of course. Or when I'm around.
Or when you're around to your face, yes. Is like an older person. They're probably in their 50s, though they dress fairly stylishly. They have brown eyes and kind of like an asymmetrical haircut. They smoke like a freight train. Their name's Elizabeth.
Okay.
And they basically they kind of handle. Really more of like, it's less of a church and more of like a study group, because like none of you guys are like experts on this dead religion.
It's somewhere between a beginnings of a church and an AA meeting.
Exactly, right. Because like a lot of the people who are coming into this thing are like people who really are attached to the message, and are kind of like more like outsidey fringe folk, and so basically it's more like they kind of enjoy the fact that they just got some place to like meet and talk with people and have like similar interests and everything.
And coffee and donuts.
Yeah, and coffee and donuts, that sort of thing. Yep. But like a lot of people seem like to be really getting into the idea. People are Elizabeth's really good at like, one of the things that like has kind of helped her sort of become your right hand is, for one, she's fairly like, or they're very very organized.
Right.
But they also like seem to be able to like, they're really good at research. They're basically like, they tell you that they're retired a librarian, and so they get a lot of like good research and tomes that you would have never found, because that's not the shit you do.
Right.
Like the library is not a thing Seshmir goes to.
Yeah, and one of the things that's going to be important for building this is actually building a body of
body of text, body of knowledge about it. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're going to pick like. So there you guys are. Assuming you guys are having the meeting in the warehouse.
Actually, no. I'm wanting to avoid the warehouse if possible and do it in like a community center type thing. Okay,
yeah. So you guys like get like a community center. It's actually like you're having church meetings in the basement of like a whole different church. It's Kravitz's church.
Okay.
Because he's literally the only priest you know.
All right.
Or the other priests you don't really want to deal, like priests that you don't want to deal with.
Right.
So it's the meeting's just sort of ended. Everybody's filing out, and it's basically just like you and Elizabeth picking up chairs, cleaning up leftover donuts, pouring out the coffee, and everything like that. And they're like, and Elizabeth goes to you, and they're like, so pretty good. Seems like a pretty solid turnout.
I'm pleased with the progress.
And they come up to you. They're like, so I forgot to mention it in the meeting. And I hadn't actually looked into it or anything like that, but I found like this other book. I'm gonna have to hook up with somebody to get it translated because it's like really old and I don't quite know what it's in, like Elvish, and I don't speak that. So I'm calling in a couple of favors with like some Elvish friends of mine. But we should be able to get that, and like there's like they've like already like lit up a cigarette, even though Kravitz continually tells you to not smoke in the rec room.
Right.
But like they've already lit up like a cigarette, and they're like they're pulling a drag off of it, and they're like, so they're like, do you think? So one thing I've been worried about is because I've been reading the paper and everything. I don't know how to put this.
Just come out with it.
Yeah. So like, the keepers seem to be kind of on high alert because of all that stuff going on with like Tessa Blackmore. Have you seen that?
I have.
And so I mean, I know what we're doing here is like legit,
yes.
But like, and obviously we've got like actual religious facility on our side, but like, I'm just worried that something might go south.
Okay.
And we run afoul of the keepers, and then what do we do?
That's fine. You know, that's a legitimate concern. The keepers can be a little overbearing at times, and you know, they're on high alert like 90% of the time anyway.
Yeah,
but
from my experience, they can be a little bit blunt.
Yeah.
The way that they deal with things.
The key to dealing with them is going to be just upfront, calm, reasonable. Show them the literature. Show them, show them the pamphlets. Make sure that we're not, point out that that we're not trying to break the status quo here. We're just trying to make everyone's lives better.
My real concern is is not us doing that, because that's what we would do. But what do we do if that is insufficient? Because they get kind of they take a real long pause and drag off their cigarette and flick the ashes onto the ground, then realize that there's carpet, and they're like, oh shit. And they're like, in my experience, they can be rather set in their ways and not flexible when they decide on something.
Well, if it comes to that, then we just have to be prepared to split up, run, hide, and regroup in a more low-key fashion.
Okay. I mean, I guess as long as there's a plan.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a legitimate concern. We should probably have some sort of backup rally point if the worst happens.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, we should. Maybe we'll talk about that, and then I don't want to scare everybody else.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, okay.
Awesome. And it's not like we don't have everyone's addresses. We can go find them if
exactly. Yeah, that's a point. Yeah. Do you think that I'll do some work on the registry, so that's not readily apparent information.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they're they seem very pleased by that. They kind of finish the cigarette, throw the butt into a half-drunk cup of coffee, and you guys sort of finish cleaning up. So
and I start precipitating all the smoke out of here.
Yeah.
Some air freshener.
And so that pretty much brings us up to where where Seshmir is at our 3-month jump.
Yeah.
So,
cool. All right.